Who
that's
was
kind of
it?
my M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like he was kind of up and down at that point, and they were like, "All right, we'll give him another chance." And everyone was like, "Boo!
No, don't do it, don't do it." And it's sad because most of the movies that he has produced have been trash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, Sixth Sense, okay, Unbreakable, okay, and then I think it was Split, which was the more recent one, with the guy that played
Xavier.
Professor X in the First Class.
John McAvoy, I forget his first name.
Okay.
But he had The Village, which was like okay, and then I think he had that movie with Mark Wahlberg that was really bad.
Yeah.
And then he had that one with the elevator, The Devil, which I like guessed at like the first like 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, that like good twist, dude.
Good twist.
Yeah, but then he came up. Yeah, I like Split. I didn't see the sequel to that in Unbreakable where they put those two together. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, how was that?
Glass was okay, but that was Samuel L. Right? Samuel L. And it's one of those things. It's like you bring Samuel L., Bruce Willis, and then the McAvoy guy, and it's like, okay, all right, I'll at least sit through it.
Yeah,
but it was just okay. Like it wasn't worth. Okay, I'm not gonna go see it again. Yeah, no, I didn't miss anything. Like, okay, yeah, it just wasn't as fun.
For a guy that doesn't like him, you've seen all of his movies.
Yeah. Well, so the sad part is I would tell people this, and because I tend to be a movie person that goes with other people. Oh, well, we're going to see this movie. It's like, what movie is that? When did that come out? Oh, well, we just pulled it up. And so some of them I saw in people's, rooms on DVD.
They forced your hand.
Right. And it's like, who's the director of this? That's M. Night. No, turn it off.
Yeah. So I think our question would turn into that. It's like, what director or producer would you have out of existence? You would have to, not like as a person, but as a director. Right. I would pick Tim Burton because his movies start off great, like Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, and then like it just dipped. And I was just like, this guy needs to give it up. And Rob Zombie is a close second.
Okay.
House of a Thousand Corpses was good, and Devil's Rejects was great. But then again, he was like trying to remake Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? No. So yeah, those would be my two picks.
M. Night is by far.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He might be on the Mount Rushmore for a lot of people.
And then, so it's interesting, but what is it? The guy that did Avatar. Cameron.
Never seen it.
Okay. So
don't plan on it either.
Yeah, no, don't waste your time.
Thank you.
The storyline is now. Some people said, "Oh, it's just so beautiful. It's so artsy," and I'm like, "But the storyline's trash." Like,
I'll go to an art museum if I need to.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it on mute.
Because it didn't add up. It was one of those where I'm like, okay, why did I do this to myself? And how long is it? Do we still have more time? Okay, we got to go.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it. And they come out with a second one. It's like, who asked for that? Probably a lot of people, but I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, I didn't. I did not. They didn't ask my opinion.
No. What does that guy Amp think? Getting him on the phone.
He said, no, do away with it now while you're in.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things. I enjoy movies. I like to watch a lot of pilot episodes of series. And if the pilot is decent, I'll watch the next episode to kind of see if it follows up well. If not, I won't. I'll scrap a series altogether based off of those first couple episodes.
That's interesting because usually the pilot and the first episodes are awful. You put a lot of faith in those first episodes. So I'm glad that you did that with my podcast and you made it this far to get me on there. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know you did that.
Well, see, the plus with podcasts is you invest in the people. Like, and for me, that's what it is. I invest in the people. You're good people on Twitter. Like, our conversations, hilarious. And I love the content that you're putting out there. And
thank you, man.
Support that you do for everybody else. And so it's like, oh, we'll listen past third, fourth, fifth. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's still hilarious.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I try to keep it fun for other people. And at first I just felt like I was trying to be an advocate for just other people telling stories. And it's only so much I can talk about myself. And I've done episodes with interviews where I talk about postpartum. Mm-hmm. And then I just talked to Doug Middleton, who plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has a great organization. what is it? Oh wow, I'm going blank. But either way, like then I talked about the conversation of like mental health with like the African American community that he works with. So I like taking on difficult conversations that most people wouldn't. In my stance, like I'm a straight white male, like
Gotcha.
going on different. Like I have no business talking about women's bodies, but someone like me that maybe can pass it on to somebody else that would learn about that. I'm not going to have kids, but like a good friend will, and I can see the senses of that. So I like taking those things on with my podcast.
Okay.
So I try to keep it fresh for everybody. And my wife, I was like, should I change my name? She's like, no, that's you now. Like you're 20 Tim minutes. I'm like, I don't even like the number 20. Like I don't. I base my numbers off like certain sports athletes. Like number 31 is my all-time favorite number. Okay. I think it looks awesome to wear. And like there's always a basketball player that comes up that wears it. I'm like, he's like a scrappy dude, like Shane Battier. I love Jason Terry, Xavier McDaniel. Like there's some good 31s out there. So I kind of attract to those athletes because they're like number 31. Number 20, I can't even think of like more than like two people. Like Ray Allen, number 20, was on the Celtics and he joined the dark side with the Heat. So I'm like, I can't do 20. Oh.
You can't.
But no, I'm glad that it's going decent enough that people enjoy it. Like someone said, it's like hanging out with a good friend. So like I question myself. I'm like, how do I keep doing that? Like I didn't know I was doing that. So sometimes I get in my own head, which is obvious. If you know me, even by this conversation, that I'm like that. But it is good, and same with you, man. You have so much support, and you have such a big heart with everybody, and I love it. And I love like getting everybody together. And like sometimes I'll suggest your podcast. And I know a lot of people kind of just do it blindly, which is like in good faith. Like they're trying to help a million people, which I kind of think is like against the purpose. But like I'll see people that needs your topic, and I'm like, oh, check out the AMP podcast. And I'm not looking to make myself look like a good guy. It's just like I help good friends. I help good people. You got to spread positivity.
The same way. And I like seeing people that are, that come out of their comfort zone, if you will, and share other people. But then they talk about it. It's like, oh, yeah, just go look at this one. No, look at this one. And this is why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so that for me makes the difference.
100%, because that's how I've gotten a lot of followers that I don't know. I had a conversation with them with my free time, and I was like, oh, this is why I stand behind it. I'm like, then they open up about their mental health, which is, I didn't ask for that, but I will talk to you about it. Gotcha. And that's like a big segue for me that I'm like, that's so cool that you opened up for me. Hopefully like the podcast will make you laugh, blah, blah, blah. And I've made like 2 or 3 friends that I just chat with on the regular, like from like Washington. And like, I have a buddy in South Korea. I sent him stickers. So like my stickers are out in South Korea, which is like mind bending to me. But no, yeah, you got them. I love how you pulled that up out of nowhere like a magician. I didn't know you were a mad magician on the side. Like that was the thing I wanted. Like I think they said with like ADHD, my therapist said that like compulsive spending is a huge thing.
I gotcha.
And I didn't know that. And then she said that. I go, I do that. I buy stuff I don't need. And now I'm not doing that. I'm putting my focus on the podcast, and I'm not overly spending on the podcast, but I'll buy things that make it sound better or look better. Like I used to have nothing on my walls. Like I bought a ring light. I like, there's just certain things. I'm like, if I'm going to do this and love it, I got to put money into that instead of dumb wrestling t-shirts I don't need, as I'm wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin one right now that I've spent, you know what I mean? I don't need this shirt. Like I have a million other shirts I can't throw away because I can't throw away memories.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my whole circle is just that of a gong show. It's a gong. My circle is a gong, and if it gets hit, it just goes off. It's like I look at myself standing outside, and I'm just like, this guy's ridiculous. Get a grip. Look at
yourself in the window. You're like, oh, who is this guy? What's wrong with him?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know who would beat up the other one. Beat up my 18-year-old self, or the 18-year-old would beat up me. Like, I just don't know which one would hate each other worse.
So you was.
Yeah. Like, what are you, softy? You're crying now in your pillow like a little girl. Like
you got all this medication and all this other stuff. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And I'd be like, you ruined my life.
All right. So if you could sit down for coffee with any 3 people dead or alive, who would they be?
That's a great question. And I thought about that really hard, and something just hit me. I'm a big music guy, and this group lost a pivotal member that meant a lot to me.
Okay.
So it's kind of like 3 for 1, which was a great answer. And I just have to say the Beastie Boys as a whole, they were a big part of me loving music. MCA was a big, who passed away of cancer, and my stepfather passed away of cancer. So like I was I've only cried about a celebrity twice that day. Okay. MCA was one, and then John Ritter was the other one for no apparent reason. He was in Three's Company.
Yep.
I always loved him, and he was in this weird movie called Stay Tuned I grew up with. It was just, I don't know why I was so sad about it. I think that's when my depression hit. Okay. So when MCA died, he did so much. He was like the Tibetan people, like he was helping them out. He was very like, he had lyrics that were ahead of the time. Like he was a feminist before feminism. No, he didn't invent feminism, but he was talking about respecting like the women in your life, like everything. And it was like cool. And when I watched the Beastie Boys documentary of them talking about him and the way he was, I was like in hysterics. I'm like, that guy was awesome. He's so motivating. And the Beastie Boys as a whole, I listen to them and I still do. Like I've never been sick of them. There's been bands I'm like, I can't listen to them anymore. The Beastie Boys made me love music, and it would be so cool to sit down with them and just be like, check it out, and just have a coffee with them. But that's a good question. Do you know what yours would be? I would be very interested what yours would be.
So mine would be President Obama, Warren Buffett, and my late uncle. He was a bishop in Louisiana. And one of the things that he would always tell me growing up was your attitude will determine your altitude. And,
I like that a lot.
You know, as you grow up, you're like, I don't need all these nuggets of wisdom. And then you're like, what does that actually mean? As I got older, and he passed away in 2005 when I was down at the Sugar Bowl. And so it was like, okay, we're at the Sugar Bowl, and somebody called me and said, hey, by the way, just to give you a heads up, your uncle's passing. I'm like, what? I just saw him, 7 hours ago. Like, what do you mean? And so his saying has stuck with me all this time. And one day it just kind of clicked. It's like,
that's awesome. Yeah. And it's bittersweet that you got to like have like a informal goodbye. You saw him within 24 hours before he passed. And that's never easy, but it's like bittersweet when you think about it. Right. When someone passes, or if you're on bad terms or you haven't seen him in a while, you just get beat up. But that's good. That's awesome. Those three are good. Those are some good threes, and they would probably get along. So,
and see Warren, because he's a great business mind.
Oh yeah.
And I just need somebody to say, hey, do this, and this. Okay. All right. You want to run that for me? Cool.
Yeah. What do you think Obama's coffee order would be?
Let's see. I think he would go with the caramel macchiato.
He would have something very tasty. I agree. He would have something very tasty. I'm a black coffee drinker. I do ice year round. I'll randomly do like a hot coffee, but black coffee, I'm just like, and I never drank coffee till about 4 years ago. Okay. And I just jumped in the black coffee game, and people are like, I don't know how you do that. I'm like, I don't know anything else. I'm lactose intolerant. I don't like adding sugar to anything. I'm no health guru. I eat like crap too, but it's one of those things. I'm like, I'm going right into that. What about your uncle? What do you think he would drink?
So I think my uncle, because I know he would drink his, coffee with a little cream and a little sugar. And then Warren, he'd probably go black.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could see him going black. And then mine, of course, would be I don't drink coffee. So,
you're like, I'll just buy it for everybody.
Right, I'll buy it and sit down with you all. Or have a black tea or something like that.
Tea's good. The Beastie Boys have a lyric, and I think it's Intergalactic. They're like, I like my sugar with coffee and cream. So that's how I would order for them. So that actually works out. I didn't even think about that until right now, until we started talking about orders. And that I love how perfect that just lined up.
Yeah. So it's one of okay. So what is your most listened to song right now?
Oh, right now? Oh,
yeah,
man.
Right now.
Jeepers. I would say right now I've been on a huge DMX kick because he just passed. Right. And there's a song that I forgot about this there was a group that he was a part of, which was with Jay-Z and Ja Rule, called Murder Inc. And I vaguely remember it, but they never got big. And there's a song called It's Murder And it's just like the beat alone, I'm like, oh, it's just like, I feel like I'm goggling on like broken glass. It's like just, it's heavy. I'm trying to think, but my music is like far and wide. Like the only thing I don't really get into is like the country scene now.
Okay.
Like I'll listen to like Hank Williams from back in the day. Like Buddy Holly was me and my wife's wedding song, but that's like twangy. It's like ding ding ding. You know what I mean? Not like this pop country. And I wouldn't listen to it anyway. But like I'm a big hip hop guy. My wife got me into punk.
Okay.
I've always been metal, but like I'll listen to like Kesha. Like Kesha's my girl.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So she actually helped me a lot through my depression. Her like 2 albums were like very motivating, but like sad sounding.
Okay.
And she talks about like just like getting away from the negativity. There's a song called Here Comes the Change, where like the first chorus or the first, whatever it is, the first paragraph of the song was literally like how I felt. And like, I like it hits me to this day still.
Gotcha.
And that's probably on my Spotify most played replays and stuff.
Okay.
But then I'll have a song that I don't even know. It's like an electric song. It's called Mala, Notorious. And it's a electric, like one of those EDM songs, but it takes a sample from Notorious. It's like the Noto. And it's got a good beat to it. And like, I love when someone does a good sample and they steal a good sample, because that's what 90s rap did anyway. They just stole from the 70s.
All like,
yeah. So it's you just gotta, as long as they're passing the torch of good music somewhere, I always respect it.
Gotcha.
And if they don't steal it.
They like ask permission.
Yeah, remember Vanilla Ice with Queen? He's like, no, theirs went dun 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 dun. Mine went ding 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 ding. Like, dude, what drugs are you on? Right? Because I don't want one. Yeah. He's like, oh man. He's like, they took. I can't even think of a good joke right now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So my most listened to song right now is the what is it? Silk Sonic. Leave the Door Open with Bruno Mars. And yeah, Bruno has reminded me that there might be hope for music yet.
He is one of the most underrated artists. Like I say underrated because no one ever brings him up in casual conversation. He's a megastar, but the song Perm that he has, that's an absolute jam. Yeah. Plus he's like my height. He's just like there was a time where I played that song to my wife. What was the one that was huge? She's like, hot damn.
Oh, it's like, yeah, that's 24 karat. No, not 24 karat.
That one's a good jam too.
Yes, it is.
But that one's
man. Why can't I think of the name?
I know. I played it forever. Police time.
Uptown Funk.
Dude, the year that came out, I think I lost friends because I played that too much. That's a jam too, man. He's just awesome. Yeah. Him and like Pharrell. I was like, people would always compare me to them. I think just because of their stature and just how weird I can be sometimes. And I love dancing. Like, get me at a wedding, I will be the first and last person on the dance floor. And if you put on that like that, it's over. Game
over. Like everybody else goes sit down.
Yeah. And my wife dances all stiff. I'm like, get out. Like, I got this.
Oh, too funny. And no, it's one of those things. Like I enjoy music, and I think for me that has been one of my like I won't say saving graces, but it has been one of those kind of, hey, you're kind of down in the dumps, put something on, and that can trigger. I'm like, oh yeah, what about that song? Oh yeah, before we started, I was playing some Ty Tribbett, and he's a gospel artist, and his songs hit it, and it's like, okay, you got some trap sounding songs that are gospel, cool. It kills it. And I'm like, oh man, that's pretty hot. Okay,
send me that first song you were talking about, because I don't think I know that one. I was like learning about new music. I can never get enough good music. I can't really do this new music. It's tough to like. It's like going through like the Walmart $5 DVD bin. You're like, these are all terrible. I don't need Paul Blart too. But then you'll pull out like the Goonies, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll rock with this. Send me those.
Yeah, that's the sad part with music right now. Like, and I think so. We hit that on our podcast a couple months back. We did a like jukebox episode, and for that we talked about some of the music now and where music is going. And then I was like, oh well, Bruno is kind of bringing up the rear. He's like, he takes that 70s and mixes a little bit of 90s, 2000s. And he's like, oh, here's a new sound. And you're like, oh, I like that.
Yeah. And he's smart because he's like, all these people like different types of music and he kind of blends it all together. You get like all these beats and he just does, he knows what he's doing, obviously. Yeah. And I would probably pay top dollar to go see him like kind of close, like in the crowd, or like a balcony seat and like have it to myself.
Now I get to see all of it, just chill out. And, go ahead, Bruno.
That place, everyone's probably coming down with the boogaloo flu in that place, like just have to shake it out. He's that's a concert. He'd be on my like top 10 to go see.
Okay. Nice.
Bruno's great choice.
All right. So let me see. Do you think your friends looked at you differently after you like accepted your mental illnesses, like your mental challenges? Do you think they looked at you differently? Because you mentioned that they would joke with you. Do you think they looked at you differently or treated you different because of it?
It's going to sound weird, but I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So I'll explain what you're talking about is they would make jokes about it because I was making jokes about it. Like I would drive to work and be like, oh, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I just cried in the car because I say things in a passive tone. So they don't know if I'm serious or not. Gotcha. But in reality, I was like crying on the way to work. Gotcha. And like, I would make statements that were like, kind of like, oh, like how long the drive went. I was like, I was thinking about driving off a cliff. So I took the long way and I'd be like, I would never drive off a cliff, but I was like, I don't care if my car flies off the road. Gotcha. With that said, when I finally opened up about my mental health, I did this long post on Facebook. I had like 2 hours of sleep. I had to wake up in a couple hours and I posted it. I was so anxious because I came out with my mental health and I kept scrolling, like hitting refresh. And I probably got over 200 comments from people that were so supportive. So I would say yes to your question, but in a great way. Okay. They looked at me differently because they didn't know. Gotcha. So I had a great group of friends that it like hit me like hard. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like the friends that you go out drinking with, your close friends, people you haven't seen, like all of them came out of the woodwork. I got messages, text messages, and it was overwhelming because I was so emotional. So I couldn't reply to people right away. And they were probably like, is this his suicide note? Like, gotcha, like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like a negative thing, but I was pretty detailed oriented with it. And it felt so good to pop that bubble. And if I never did that, I don't know where I'd be. I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. Gotcha. I don't like, again, it's just like, I'm glad I did it. It was such a relief because I used to hate wearing a mask that I'd be like, people would be like, oh, what's wrong? That was one of the questions I would hate. I was like, can I just have a bad day? Like Michael Jordan didn't score 50 points a night. I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan. I'm probably more of like a Tony Kukoc or like a Steve Kerr. Like I'm just a role player. But again, that's an analogy. I'm like, people can't be on all the time, but they expected me to be like that because I was always goofing around and I was bringing other people up because I'm a people pleaser. Gotcha. Which is like a double-edged sword too, because you're not pleasing yourself. Right. Not in a weird way, but you got to make sure that you're doing stuff that makes you happy because you can't please other people if you're not making yourself happy. Right. Because that's contagious. And you got to make sure your brain's turned on the right way.
Very true. Very true. So if you could leave the listeners with one thought, what would it be? Like one thought, like one final thought to either, in dealing with their mental health issues or just something that might encourage them to, hey, bust that bubble if necessary.
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be scared. It's going to be a tough road, a long road. And I always say, if I can do it, anyone can, because of just the way I am in life. I didn't think I was that strong. And everyone has that, just that Mario star in them that they can just eat and just plow through anything that they can do. So, but you're going to get knocked down, but the best part's getting back up. Like, who likes being on the ground? And everyone loves a comeback story. Everyone loves it. No one's rooting for like you watch a movie, hope Rudy fails. Like, you know what I mean? Right. So like just be vulnerable. just be open if you can. I know it's tough when people say, oh, reach out whenever you like, if you need help. I don't even do that to this day.
Gotcha.
And I tell people that, and it's very hypocritical of me. But just don't be afraid. It's like, I don't like haunted houses, but if I have to go through one, I will go as fast as I can and just keep my head down and keep trucking.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was a long answer, but it's going to be hard. It's not easy. They tell you to open up about mental health, and you do, and then you're like, all right, let's get ready. And they're like, all right, every therapy is locked up for 6 months. You're like, oh, okay. And the only way to get to one quicker is if you go through the ER and say you're going to kill yourself. You're like, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So let's, I guess I'm just gonna have to tough this one out. But just keep trying. Talk to other people, pick their brains. And if you want to reach out to me and I'll try to make you laugh, come say hi.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
All right. AMP family, look. Want to say a huge thank you to Tim McCarthy of 20TIMinutes. Look, they have 20TIMinutes is every Tuesday. They release an episode every Tuesday, and I know that he's been doing some interviews as well on Thursdays. So make sure just subscribe to the channel, and every time he drops one, you'll be in the mix for sure. You can also find 20TIMinutes on all major social media. So you can find him on Twitter, you can find him on Instagram and Facebook. So
I got an app too for no apparent reason. My buddy made me an app. Just Google 20TIMinutes. I got that. Like no one else had that name. There wasn't like 20TIMinutes, which was a great thing. But yeah, I have an app. I'll send you notifications. I don't track where you are, so don't worry about that. I'll send you some motivational quotes. I got some merch coming out again. So yeah, download the app because I feel bad for my buddy that I made it. But I got like 70 users, which is great. I have no purpose for an app, but I love the fact that I have an app. And I always forget to promote it, so I had to promote it. Sorry.
So make sure you check him out. Make sure that you. Oh,
nice. I had one, and I was trying so hard not to release. I'm glad you did it. Thank you.
Make sure that you all check out the Amped Up Squad. We are here every Wednesday, as you all know. Make sure that you continue to subscribe. Make sure you continue to follow us on all major social media platforms, and of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out. We always have something going on over there, and we just want to make sure that we encourage you. So know that I love you. God loves you even more. And until next time, be inspired, be edified, be encouraged. Put God first in all that you do. Love unconditionally. Do what you love and always live an amp life. Stay amped up, and we'll catch you next time.